Hello, this is Todd. I'm going to be showing you a game that's going to be coming out for the iPad. It's called PicrossHD. PicrossHD, also commonly known as netograms, gridlers, or paint by numbers, are logic puzzles in which squares in a grid are filled in to match numeric clues that appear beside the grid. So let me show you an example. In the help, there's an example puzzle that's currently in progress. As you can see, each set of numeric clues describes a recipe for filling squares in a row or column of the grid. Each number in the recipe represents strings of contiguous filled-in squares. Between each string, there has to be at least one empty square. So for example, in this row here, you can see there was a 2 and a 1. So here's the first string of 2 that are set, and then there has to be at least one space and then another pixel. So this would be a valid solution for this row. Row clues are to the left and column clues are on top. And you have to actually satisfy all the row and column clues in order to solve the puzzle. So as you can see, this row is already solved, as I mentioned, and so is this row. And in order for your picture to be formed, all of the rows have to be filled in. In addition to filling in squares, PicrossHD also has some extra markers to help you solve the puzzle. So let's start with this row of 5. We know that these all have to be filled in squares because our row clue is 5 and there's only 5 possible places. Well, then we can look at this set of clues here, this recipe. Notice there's a 1 and a 1. Well, we know that this bottom one here has to be that 1. And you notice it's also showed as gray on here because we have it filled in. Well, we know then that there can't possibly be a filled in square here, right where my thumb is, where that X is. So we can actually put a little X there. And the X just helps us remember when we're solving the puzzle that we know that that square isn't filled in. All right, let's look at this row as well. We notice that there's a 2, and we have identified them here, and a 1 here. So we know that there cannot be a filled-in square there or there. So that means we're not sure yet if there's one here or here, a pixel. But we know that one of those two spots has to have a pixel filled in. So we can use the question mark to help us with that. So with that, let's go in and actually try to solve a sample puzzle. So here's all the puzzles that we get to pick from in this first version of Picross. We're going to be adding more puzzles as time goes on. The first row is the simplest puzzles. They're just 5 by 5. This middle set of puzzles are 10 by 10, all the way up to 15 by 15. And the bottom row of puzzles are actually quite large puzzles that are 20 by 15. So let's just start with this first one, this 5 by 5 puzzle, and try to solve it. Right, so by default, we start with the filled in square. That's what that is. And right off the bat with this puzzle, we know that these have to be set or filled in because of the 5. We also know that these have to be filled in. So we can do that. We also know now that because we filled this row in, this column is now satisfied, and this column is now satisfied. So we can switch over to the X here and fill these in with X's. And we also know that that's true for this row as well. Okay, and we also know that this row has been satisfied and this row has been satisfied. Okay, now going back to our fill, we now know when we say 3 here, we know which 3 because there's only 3 to choose from. So we can just fill those in. And that was our first puzzle. Pretty easy. All right, let's try this 10 by 10 puzzle. It's a little harder than the 5 by 5. The first thing we do is let's look at the row recipes and column recipes to see if there's a good spot to start. And actually, I think I see one right here, this 1 and 7. Since we know that there has to be a string of at least 7 filled in squares, we know that these 7 right here must be filled in. So we'll just go ahead and set those. Now we know that there has to be one pixel either here or here, but we don't know which one. So let's put our little question marks in there to help us. All right, now let's see, where else can we know for sure that they're puzzles or that they're pixels or not pixels? Well, one thing you can see down here with this 6 is, given that we know that there's 5, 6, 7, 8 here, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we know that this one has to be on. And we know this one has to be set, and this one has to be set, because otherwise there wouldn't be enough. Because notice here I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that would fill it in. Or if I went this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that would make 6. So again, we can put our question marks here if we want to help us remember that we're not sure which ones of those are filled in. All right, now let's see what else we can learn. All right, we know that there's 2 here, so there can't be one here or here or here or here. And I'll just keep filling in some of these. Okay, let's see what else we can figure out now. So we have this number 3. We know that it has to be this one, and this one. So then let's put in X's for the rest. Okay, we also know that there can't be one here or here. We also know that these 2 have to be filled in. And since that's a 6, and we know the 6 has to start down here, it has to go like that. Right? Well, now we know some more information. We know that that question mark actually has to be an X, because there's only one filled in square in this row. So we know that all of these are no longer possible. And let's fill this in. Okay, and we know that there are no more left along this row. There's no more left along this row. There are no more possible here or here. We also know that there can't be one here and here, because if there was one here, that would be a sequence of, or a string of 3, which isn't listed on here. So there can't be one here. There also can't be one here or here. And that means that there has to be 2 right here, because that second 2 would only fit right there. So let's fill those in. And now we know that there cannot be one here. We also know that there can't be one here, because this 2, the first sequence we have to run into, or the first string, has to have 2, and there's not enough room for 2 except for here. So you see 2, 1. So we know that there can't be one there. So that means there has to be one here. We also know, because of that 2 right there, that now there has to be one here and here, which means there has to be one there. And now we can finish this off. Woohoo! It's a candle. Well, that's about it for my quick overview of PicrossHD. I certainly hope you enjoyed it, and please download it. It is a free download right now on the Apple Store. We will be adding new puzzles in the future, and we hope you have a great time. Thanks.